Hey gang, Joel Palmer here, Vintage Fitness. This video is something I like to call the right moves video. I'm going to go over a few things, just ordinary everyday activities that we perform, all of us, just about every day of our lives, that get people into trouble, especially with back pain, lower back pain. So I'm going to show you just a few simple tips. These are sort of the right or the proper way to perform tasks. Number one, picking items up off the floor, like this sandbag. It doesn't matter if it's a sandbag, a bag of cement, a bag of dog food, a toddler. First and foremost, you do not want to bend over, rounding at the back to pick things up. Never, ever, ever. Puts far too much compressive and shear force, particularly on that L5-S1 junctional area. That's the number one herniated disc, L5-S1. And so we're trying to reduce some of the strain on there, so proper lifting technique. So basically you want to do it in a proper deadlifting style or cleaning style. Athletic position, getting over the weight as much as you can, keeping the mass as close to your center of gravity as possible. That means close to your body, close to your belly button. So instead of bending over and picking that bag up, what I would do is get in some sort of athletic stance and pick it up here. Boom. So if you see me from the side, we're picking it up here instead of bending forward. And turning the bag this way, picking it up here. So you could do this with a laundry basket. It's a very common injury. People pick up a basket of laundry and it's sitting on the floor. They bend over to pick it up and bing, that's when the back goes. And then your week's getting better, okay? So we're trying to prevent some of that stuff. Another item here, just so you can see, sometimes odd, that one had handles, which was handy. Not everything in life has a handle, but same thing with the ball. This is a medicine ball. You wouldn't want to bend or round over to pick it up. The way you want to properly do it is get over it, good deadlift form, get down and pick it up. Now some people are more comfortable if they stagger their stance. You can take a staggered stance. The idea is to keep the mass close to your center of gravity. So you don't want it too far away from the body. Okay? So even if you have a staggered stance, it's still okay, right? That's still better than bending down for it. All right? Just like that. Another issue is if something's little. This is probably the number one thing that gets people to come to me at my office. Okay? They tell me, oh, I bent over to pick up my socks, or I bent over to put my shoe on, or I bent over to pick up a paper clip and threw my back out. A lot of that is because you're not properly engaging the core, the posterior chain. Oftentimes because it's a little item, we get a little lazy, a little careless, and we bend and pick it up. A lot of times it's not even when you actually pick the item up. It's on your way down. It's because of that compressive and shear force that occurs on that L5-S1 area. You're bound to irritate something. If it's not a disc, it'll be some of the smaller rotator muscles of the spine, or maybe something like your quadratus lumborum or sacrospinalis. Something in there, multifidus, something in there will go. And then again, you're out for a couple of weeks. So if we have something light, a small item, another way of doing it is called a golfer's lift. If you've ever watched golfers play, this is how they'll oftentimes get a ball out of the hole. It's basically a single leg deadlift. So a light item, I wouldn't do this with something really heavy. You just single leg deadlift it up. That motion of kicking the back leg out and hinging or pivoting over that hip takes a tremendous amount of strain and shear force off of that lower back. So a golfer's lift, that's another way of doing it. And if you had to, you know, if you were near something, you could use an item for balance if you had to. Okay, here, right? Do something like that. Or you could use your own body for a little balance. Okay? So, golfer's lift is another way. All right, a couple other things. Pushing items. Great source of back pain is this thing. a vacuum. I cannot tell you how many people call me in distress because they have wrecked themselves vacuuming. Part of the reason is because when people vacuum, oftentimes they're trying to take too big of a swath of area, so they get out here. So as, let me show you from the side so you can see. So as you reach, frame here, as you reach, right, again, look where I am. I'm bent. That is poor mechanics. Once the mass of the head of the vacuum gets that far away, now the physics are such that it increases the amount of shear and compressive force on that L5-S1 area, and that's where damage occurs. So, what I recommend to people is A, never get this thing farther than your arm length away. Keep yourself upright, and oftentimes, like a fencer, if it's in my right hand, take that right foot and sort of almost like you're lunging or fencing. Okay, so if you need to take a little bit of a bigger swath, you lunge into it, but now you're keeping yourself upright here, you're not all bent over, okay? And beware, none of this stuff, oh, I'm just gonna pick up this chair and, you know, and vacuum underneath. Forget it. That is a recipe for disaster. The key here is to keep yourself upright, and I'm gonna tell you now, a good thing to think about when you're vacuuming or pushing an item like this is to keep your butt squeezing a little bit. If your butt squeezes, that is the counteraction to all that shearing force that can occur in the lower back. So squeeze your butt, keep this thing. It may mean now that you have to move around more with your feet, right, to get the job done, but it's much better than being out 2 to 4 weeks with a low back strain. Okay? So vacuum. Similar issue, let me grab my next tool. Mopping, sweeping, right? Sweeping and mopping, another one. People get too far here, too far forward, and now they're all bent here. I don't even like to demonstrate it because it just doesn't feel good. It feels abnormal to me right off the bat. So what you want to do is same thing. You move with your feet more and keep the broom, the mop, whatever you're using, close to you. Keep your body upright. Don't allow yourself to get way out here. If you can, sometimes you can do the same thing. You can go one-handed. You know, if I was just sweeping this floor, I could certainly just go one-handed and do a fine job sweeping, okay? Another one is raking. I'm not going to break out my rake, but we'll use this long-handled implement, right? Raking. Again, people reach too far and they get themselves stretched out and bent and twisted. Bent and twisted is like Russian roulette. Sooner or later, you are going to shoot yourself. Don't shoot yourself, okay? Nobody wants to be laid up for weeks. Even with good care, a simple back strain, minimum 2 weeks recovery time. That's if you're lucky, okay? 2 to 4 weeks, easy, sometimes longer if it turns out to be more complicated. So spare yourself that misery. So when you rake, don't reach way out. You've got to keep the motion close to your body here. See how I'm upright and I'm not bent, right? So if I want to cover a bigger area, it means I've got to move to that area. I've got to move so that I can do this, okay? So there you go, that's raking. Another one I'm going to just show you is shoveling. I don't have my shovel with me, but I'm going to show you this. Shoveling again, we dig, right? We overreach, we scoop, and then we throw. Bent and twisted. Good reason for an injury, okay? In the wintertime, here in Vermont, lots of snow, lots of ice, lots of cold, long months of winter. This is probably one of the biggest reasons why people call me at the office. So what you want to do is, again, don't overextend. Keep your stroke closer to your body. Don't overfill the blade part of the shovel, right? So don't take off too much. When you pick up, lever a little bit, push on the the hand farthest away from the blade of the shovel, push and lever a little bit. And then what I try to do is I try to avoid a lot of this. I realize sometimes, depending on what you're trying to shovel out, sometimes you don't have a lot of options. But if you can, step and toss, right? Open up your step and toss. Another good way is if you have the room. So if you have like a nice long driveway that you're shoveling, I will oftentimes backhand shovel, backhand shovel, back and shovel. It takes a lot of the rotation out and it keeps me from bending forward. I can stay upright more. Another cool little gadget is you can get a handle that screws on to any long-handled implement like this. You can go to a place called backsavergrip.com. Backsavergrip.com. Go check them out. Their little attachments, I don't know, it's about 20 bucks or so. And what it does is it raises your grip a few inches higher, which takes you out of this bent position, puts you upright more, and it's sort of a T-shaped handle. So it takes a lot of the strain also off your elbow, wrist, shoulder. So go check them out, backsavergrip.com. That is a cool little gadget. I can tell you all my shovels at my house and at my office, they all have Backsaver grips on it. Makes the process far better. I also do like the ergonomic shovels, the ones that have the funny bend in them, and I can put my Backsaver grip right on those. I just find it keeps me from having to bend over so much. And again, just like everybody else, I have to do a lot of shoveling as well. Another one I want to show you is getting up from laying down. And this is mostly for like if you're taking a snooze on your couch on a lazy Sunday afternoon, or you're going to get up in the morning out of bed. Even when you're healthy, certainly when your back is bothering, you should use this technique, but even when you're healthy, the mistake a lot of people make, say the alarm goes off in the morning, boom, they do a jackknife sit-up right out of bed. The muscles are cold, muscles shorten during the night, that's natural. This is why we all feel like we have to stretch a little in the morning, right? It's because our muscles shorten. They oftentimes fill with a little bit of fluid, because we're not moving, so fluid isn't moving as well, so they congest a little bit, so they're far more susceptible to injury at that moment. So the last thing you want to do is something herky-jerky, like trying to sit up out of bed. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, right? The alarm goes off, and it's like, oh, the alarm went off. Bang, I hit my alarm. That may be fine 100 times, but 101 might be the one time that throws you into an acute episode with back pain. So in order to avoid that, the alarm goes off, say it's over here on my right. What I'm going to do is roll to my right. Now I can hit my alarm, and certainly put your alarm where it's easy to reach. From here, use your hands. You're going to ball up, sort of fetal position. If I was on a bed, my ankles are actually going to slide off the edge of the bed. And then I'm going to use my hands here to help push me up to a sitting position. Give yourself a second or two. Don't just go bolting out of bed. If you have to rush that much to get out of bed in the morning, set your alarm 5 minutes earlier. You'll thank me later, okay? So just to review that, right? Alarm goes off, or let's say you're taking a nap, it's Sunday afternoon, you just watched, your favorite football team, you kind of fell asleep in the fourth quarter. Now you wake up, it's time to get up off that couch, roll to your side, fetal position, kick your feet over the edge, use your hands to help climb off. Come up as a unit, okay? So there's a few things. I got a couple other quick little tricks I'm gonna show you. I have to set up just a little bit, so hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I wanted to show you the proper way to get in and out of a car. This is a common source of injury for people. Oftentimes they injure their low back, or oftentimes they even pull their groin getting in and out. In the traditional way, this is how most people kind of do it. If that's the driver's seat, I swing my door open here, I go to get in. Most people, if you watch them, they will tend to climb in one leg, duck, sit even, and then drag the second leg in. So as they do that, there's sort of this bent and twisted posture you're in, and also it really sort of opens up the groin area. So if you're doing this early in the morning or on a cold winter day, it's an easy way for a tight, cold groin muscle to pull, or a good way to wrench your back. So here's the proper way to do it. Get to my car, open up the driver's side door. I want to get into the driver's side seat. Turn, stick my butt into the opening of the door. Sit my butt down. You can use your hands to help you. Spin both legs in together. Position yourself at the steering wheel. When you go to get out, it's sort of the reverse of that. You can grab onto the steering wheel or your seat or the frame of the door, right? You open the door, spin your knees out, scoot yourself to the edge of the seat, make sure you duck so you don't hit yourself in the frame of the door, and then you can use your hands to help push off. You can push from your thighs, or if you want, push from the seat, push off, and help yourself out. Okay? So again, just so you see it, I go to get in the car, I swing the door open, I sit my butt into the seat, grab something to give me an anchor, swing my legs in. I want to get out, I swing the opposite way, scooch out to the edge, push, and out I go. Okay? Right? So that's another little thing I wanted to show you, just how to get in and out of the car. I've got something else to show you at the counter, so check back in just a second. All right, so another source of back pain is counter work. Just from standing and hunching over. A lot of times, you know, you'll get to where you're hunched over too much, or if the counter's low, like a typical kitchen counter, you're down here trying to chop up vegetables, or if you're working even at a high counter like this, a lot of times your neck and your back will start to give you trouble just from all this looking down at your work type of posture. So one way to help alleviate that is to use some sort of block. You can use just a simple block of wood. This is a step-up box. This is one of our low step-up boxes. And what you want to do is just put it up against the counter and put one foot on it. That helps to reposition the hips and the pelvis in a way that takes a lot of the strain off your back. So whether you're doing this in your kitchen, let's say you're washing dishes in your sink, if your cupboard opens up and you can put your foot inside the cupboard, great. Sometimes you might have to angle yourself. You can rest against the cupboard and angle yourself this way, okay? And you know, you can work chopping up vegetables, cutting your meat, washing things if you're doing it that way, okay? So this is a handy little thing. And you know, every so often switch sides. Usually put the other leg up, okay? I would also say it's a good idea to just, you know, let items help you, assist you. You can lean your body on it. It's not lazy. It's taking pressure off your back if you lean for a little bit. Once you create space between, say, the countertop and my body, and now I do stuff, or I do stuff out here, this space creates a little bit of a danger zone, because now I have an issue where I'm going to sort of pitch forward. It's going to put too much strain on my back. So you can always turn sideways, work this way, okay? I'm going to show you one more thing. I'm going to bring you around. All right, bathrooms, also a big place for back injuries. Leaning over that sink can oftentimes give you back pain, whether it's a bathroom or even a kitchen sink. If you're leaning over the kitchen sink trying to do dishes, say, or cut up vegetables in the sink. So here's a couple of tricks. The worst thing is leaving yourself this little space, that little space between the edge of the sink and your waist. Once you're there, that's what I like to call no man's land. If you're shaving, for us guys, right? We're shaving, right? If you leave that little bit of space in there, in order to drip into the sink like you want to do, you're going to kind of lean forward and do this, okay? Same thing if you're brushing your teeth, right? You leave that little space in there, you lean over so that things drip into the sink. Well, what happens, especially first thing in the morning when you're cold, you haven't had a chance to warm up the muscularity yet, those muscles are a little tight, a little less flexible, much easier to pull and strain. So the way we alleviate that is to eliminate that space, let the sink help hold you up. Go here, lean into the sink. Now when you shave, It's like having a third leg. It's like a three-legged stool, much more support and much sturdier. So practice leaning into the sink when you shave, or when you brush your teeth, or even if you're washing your face, lean. Another option is to put one hand across on the wall here. That gives you a third support, much safer on your back. Okay, so try that. Try eliminating that space, that no man's land. Lean your waist up against the sink. Another option is to get one foot up. If you have a cupboard that opens up, right, there's usually a bottom shelf. You can put one foot in there if you want. Let's say you're in the kitchen and you're washing dishes, you could do that. You could cut up your vegetables if you're working on a counter space. So little options like that, sometimes these little ergonomic changes can make a huge difference for you and eliminate a lot of your back pain. So give it a try.